right. I'd like to start off by saying Barakatah Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushai, Ba'ashem Rachak. Welcome to another live lesson. All right. The name of this one is None of the 10 Fronts Will Survive. And pretty much a title that came to mind earlier. And just wanted to do like a little lesson on it. Because as you brothers know, and shalom to the Akim on the comment board. And, as you brothers know, America is Babylon the Great. What you're looking at in front of you is a picture of the Statue of Liberty and the city of New York, which would be the whole of America on fire from thermonuclear destruction. This, I guess, was created by somebody, Israelites Unite. It has to be, Jake that put this together. I mean, I don't really know too much about him. I just like the picture, and the fact that they actually put a scripture on here that goes along with the destruction of America, which is perfect, so I wanted to do a little lesson on this, dealing with the title that came to my mind this morning through the Spirit. None of the 10 fronts will survive, because this is what's going on with America. America doesn't ever think that they're going to take a fall or going to be destroyed, or lose power. They don't ever think they're going to lose world domination, much less be destroyed by way of thermonuclear destruction, which you heard Elder Pastor's video where this guy allegedly, Trump, said that allegedly he, the prophets of doom were talking about the people that's speaking about global warming, which is total bullshit, as Elder Pastor mentioned in his video. But let's get into the some scriptures here. Psalms 49 verse 11, it says, their inward thought is, this means their heart of hearts. In their heart of hearts, they don't think that this thing is going to be possible. Just bear with me, I'm just looking for this one particular scripture. Okay, so let's go back. Their inward thought is, there was one more that came to mind. Just bear with me, brother, so I can get this other precept so we can move along. Wants to be a little difficult today. Sometimes with the blue letter, if you don't type it in perfect, it won't come up. That's why sometimes I don't really like looking particular scriptures up in there. Here we go. Let me see, was there another one? Just bear with me 1 second, Salakia. Yeah, here we go. Let's get this one. All right, so now let's go back to Psalms. Oops, let me put this here. Psalms 49:11. Their inward thought is, meaning in their heart of hearts, in their seat of passion, so to speak. Their most intimate thoughts is that their houses shall continue forever, because they never think they're going to go down. Proverbs 23:7, for as a man thinketh, so is he. So they think that by thinking positive of America continuing on, that they will be able to accomplish that and get past anything, because Esau is demented. You know, for as he thinketh in his heart, so is he. So they're thinking that by continuing to believe in their heart of hearts that America will continue on forever, that they will make it so. This is why this devil, in the worst situations that are going on in the world, and the worst time in American history, this devil Trump is talking about, let's make America great again, because they're trying to bring it back to a former time where Esau was on top of everybody, including Jake, you know, and all the other, you know, Judah and all the rest of the other tribes. You know, it says, eat and drink, saith he to thee, but his heart is not with thee. Because this phrase that he used, make America great again, or MAGA, does not include Israel, the so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native American Indians. It doesn't include anyone but Esau. You know, and they're very deceptive in that way. Luke 6:43, for a good tree bringeth not forth corrupt fruit, neither doth the corrupt tree bring forth good fruit. And Esau is a corrupt tree. Even though this applies to Israel, Esau is a corrupt tree. So they can't bring forth good fruit, no matter what their mouth says. And get that one also. Psalms 55. Hold that. All right. It says, for every tree is known by his own fruit. For of thorns men do not gather figs, nor of a bramble bush gather they grapes. A good man out of the good treasure of his heart, meaning out of his mind, bringeth forth that which is good, which is what? This truth. And an evil man out of the evil treasure of his heart bringeth forth that which is evil. For of the abundance of the heart his mouth speaketh. So from whatever, this is what the scriptures speak about, not giving credit to a man until you've heard his speech. Because that's the test of all men. Once you start hearing a person speak, they can look the part. You know, they can be dashing, you know, their garments, you know, prim and proper, you know, have everything in place. But when he starts speaking, then you can know if this person fits the bill or not. You know, it says, for of the abundance of the heart his mouth speaketh. And this is why Esau is trying to keep his kingdom and his society going. Their inward thought is that their houses shall continue forever, and their dwelling place to all generations. They call their lands after their own names, because they think, and it's been so for the last, 500 years or more, that these devils have been ruling, have called different lands in America after their names, because they think, okay, now this belongs to me, although they know they stole it, you know, but they put their stamp on it, and that's it. You know, it's going to be that way from here to eternity. And that's why the Lord spoke about Esau in Isaiah the 14th chapter, which they don't want to deal with. Isaiah chapter 14 and verse 21. Prepare slaughter for his children. Prepare slaughter for his children for the iniquity of their fathers, that they, meaning who? The Edomites, do not rise, nor possess the land, nor fill the face of the world with cities. Why? Because they're going to do what they have been doing. America has not shown any examples of righteousness. All they have been doing is showing examples of wickedness. And this is why the whole world is deceived by them. They're drinking of that cup, and that cup makes them inebriated, which is a fancy word of saying drunk, a fancy way of saying drunk. It makes them drunk with the philosophies of America, because they see the prosperity, or what they think to be prosperity, and they want to follow behind. And what happens is they end up falling. They end up falling in the snare and the trap that Esau has set up for them, because everything Esau does, there is a hidden agenda behind it. They have ulterior motives. Psalms 55 and 19. The Most High shall hear and afflict them, meaning who? Esau. and the other nations, and 2/3 of Jacob, but this is dealing with Esau specifically. Even he that abideth of old, Selah, because that's that old serpent, which is the devil and Satan. And most people are thinking that, when the Bible speaks about the devil and Satan and all that, that is always speaking or referring to the spiritual demon Satan, and it's not. In some cases it is, but in other cases it's not. Other cases are dealing with Esau, the so-called white man. It says, even he that abideth of old, Selah, because they have no changes, therefore they fear not the Most High. Why? Because the Most High doesn't open up on them. He doesn't really reprove them like he reproves Israel. Now when it comes to Israel, the Most High kicks Israel square in the ass, sideways, And Jake, for the most part, still don't repent. But some of they'll get in line for a little bit, but then they'll go right back to the same shit that got him in the first predicament anyway. Look at what happened what was it? I forget what year that was. When the levees broke down in Louisiana. After a while, what happened? Jake was walking on pins and needles. Then after, things got so-called back to normal, they might have been walking on pins and needles a little bit, and now they're back in full bloom how they were before. But Esau, the Lord don't do that to them because they are not the people of the Lord. He don't love them. It says he had put forth his hands against such as be at peace with him. Why? Because he'll make you feel that you're at peace with him, but meanwhile, all the while, they're putting together a plan to destroy you. He hath broken his covenant, see? Because he'll make agreements with people, but he'll never honor the agreement. Ask Gad. It says, the words of his mouth were smoother than butter. Oh yeah, they can talk a good one. Remember the serpent was more subtle than any beast of the field. And when you listen to that conversation, you got to picture it. The way he was dropping it on Eve. The serpent, which was an actual man. The way he was dropping it, the way he was coming, sly, cunning, and Eve was never the wiser. So he was dropping it, all with his cunning subtleties, and Eve was like, man, this guy's making a lot of sense. Maybe he's right. You know what? Matter of fact, he is right. Before you know it, she fell into the trap and brought Adam, and Adam fell into the trap. And the world is in the state and condition that it's in. That same spirit is still around. That same spirit that was in that person that the Bible describes as a serpent is the same spirit that was in Cain, and it's the same spirit that is in the Edomites with the same intentions. Matter of fact, let's go from there to, you know what? Let me stay in this. Let me bring this up because we're going to come back, finish this out. Let's go to Psalms 58. We'll start at the top. It says, to the chief musician, Ataskith Miktam of David, do ye indeed speak righteousness, O congregation? Do you judge uprightly, O ye sons of men? Because Esau doesn't judge uprightly, even though they make it seem to the world that they do. Yea, in heart ye work wickedness, and that's all they do. Because one of their greatest gifts beside the sword is what? Deception. And deception begins in the mind. So all of their thoughts and everything that they think of is how to get over, how to destroy, how to deceive, but still appear not as the deceiver. As to where Jake, for the most part, Jake wants righteousness. Jake wants peace. Beginning with Judah on down. They're always trying to look for a way to make peace. But Esau's always looking for ways to make war so that he can justify in taking your shit. Yea, in heart ye work wickedness, you weigh the violence of your hands in the earth. And you see that all throughout the earth. Esau's the one that's going all throughout the earth. They're the mercenaries of the earth that go around stirring shit up with these different nations just so that they can get their claws on their resources. The wicked are estranged from the womb. So when they're conceived in the womb, before they're even born, they're wicked. It says the wicked are estranged from the womb, meaning they go astray. They go astray as soon as they be born, speaking lies, because the only reason why they can't speak lies in the womb is because they they can't speak. But as soon as they're born, the first words that they utter is always wickedness, deceit. You know, their poison is like the poison of a serpent. They are like the deaf adder that stoppeth the ear, which will not hearken to the voice of charmers, charming never so wisely. And we're those charmers that are charming never so wisely through the spirit and power of Yahweh Bashem Al Shai. And guess what? They ain't listening, and they ain't gonna listen. When we deal with the true and proper understanding of Lazarus and the rich man, that was a parable of Israelites, so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native American Indians in the low condition we're in, and Edomites, the so-called white man, being the rich man that has everything. No one has more than Esau. They have more than heart can wish. You know? So we're out there charming them with these scriptures. We out there playing the tune, you know, and the tune is being played perfectly. And they still won't listen. Why? Because they are that deaf adder that stoppeth their ears. Now let's go back. It says, the words of his mouth were smoother than butter, but war was in his heart. His words were softer than oil, yet were they drawn swords. See? Because their whole thing is mentally, they have a different agenda than what their mouth is saying. Their mouth is just saying the proper right words to get them to that point. To overpower the individuals that they're coming against. And that is one of their greatest gifts outside of the sword, is deception. All right, so let's read this one more time. Matter of fact, no, let's go back to Isaiah 14 and 21. Prepare slaughter for his children for the iniquity of their fathers, that they do not rise nor possess the land nor fill the face of the world with cities. Why? Because if they do that again, like they think, well, you know, it's going to be a never-ending cycle because, you know, we had you in slavery. Now you're going to have us in slavery. Then we're going to turn around and get you. No. This is it. This is it. You know, like Michael Jackson said, this is it. There ain't going to be no more. Because the scriptures say that the saints shall take the kingdom and possess the kingdom forever, even forever and ever. And far beyond that, it's Yahushai's kingdom, which is an everlasting kingdom, which he worked to get. He sacrificed to get. It's already promised to him. He ain't going to lose it once he gets it. And this is why all of these world empires have to fall before he can set up his kingdom to be established. That's why when he comes back, one of the very first people he's coming to visit, one of the very first nations he's coming to visit is who? The Edomites. Why? Because the Edomites are in power right now. They are the wicked, according to the Bible. And the earth is given into the hand of the wicked, according to the Bible. So if you put them all together, it equals to who? The so-called white man, being the Edomites, beginning with their top banking elites. And they have an empire that's ruling on the extreme wickedness with the disguise of being righteous, being so-called Christians, you know, being so-called benevolent. And there's a word, there's a word, for lack of a better word, for being understanding to the plight of the world, of the plight of the people. So their plans are to help all of these people, you know. But it's not so. But that's what the Lord said that. Matter of fact, let's get that real quick. Let's go to. Okay. Let's go to Job. Chapter 5. This plan that they have is going to fail. It's called the New World Order, the One World Agenda, One World Government. However you want to slice it, it's all the same shit. And it's not going to work. When you look in the back of the dollar bill, it gives you, that's how pompous they are, that they just put it out there in plain sight on what they want to do. Matter of fact, let's get there real quick. Let's go to images. Let's go to the back of a dollar. Let's see if we can find a nice juicy one. Let's see, what's this right here? I want to try to get one that we can actually see the. Oh, was this? Could this be it? Oh yes, nice. Sweet. All right. Now here you have the United States of America, and in God we trust. What God are they talking about? It can't be the Most High. Now over here you see what? A pyramid, right? With an all-seeing eye, the eye of Lucifer. And then you have what? Anuit Coeptes, right? Anuit Coeptes means announcing the birth, or our enterprise has been crowned with success, because they are pushing things through that are helping to build their so-called New World Order. So what is this announcement that they have? Well, when you go down to the bottom of the pyramid, you have here MDCCLXXVI, which are Roman numerals, which add up to 1776. And 1776 is not dealing with the so-called Day of Independence, July 4th. It's dealing with May 1st, the birth of the Illuminati in Bavaria, Germany, 1776. So the announcement that was that in 1776 they started or crowned their achievements, which is their enterprise. And what is that enterprise? Novus Ordo Seclorum, new order of the ages or the world. So that's what they're trying to establish. But the Lord said in Job 5:12, he disappointed the devices of the crafty. So there is a disappointment that is happening from the Most High, which the word disappointeth, parar, means to break, frustrate. So the Lord is frustrating their ventures and their plans, because they wanted this new world order in place long ago. But the Most High keeps throwing monkey wrenches in there on them. Why? Because this is the Most High's program. All right. If this was their program, they would have been had everything in place. All right. They have the resources of the world. They have the world by the balls. Yet they can't get this new world order in place. Why? Because they are not in control. The Most High is in control. Because if that was the case, they would have been had it in place. But the Lord keeps throwing monkey wrenches in it. Why? Because this is his plan. And his word is still being taught out there. It says to break, violate, to frustrate, make ineffectual. Because they're pushing it through. They put it in plain sight. Anuit Coeptes Novus Ordo Seclorum, 1776. But what happened? They still can't accomplish it. Why? Because the Most High has frustrated it. Disappoints their ventures to be broken, to break. Let's go back. So he disappointed. Who's the he? The Most High disappointed the devices of the crafty. Who are the crafty? The Edomites. They're subtle. They're crafty. Matter of fact, let's look up the word crafty. Yeah, them what you call it are crazy, man. Them emojis. Irawam. Like I said, shalom to the Akim on the comment boards. Yep, there you go. Elder Shalom, Elder I not put the scripture we're reading right now. Iram, right? The word Irawam is subtle, shrewd, crafty, sly, sensible. So they're very sly, very cunning, very crafty, shrewd, sensible, prudent. Remember, it said that the serpent was more subtle than any any beast of the field. So they are very demonically crafty. So the Lord's saying that he's the one that's disappointing the devices of the crafty. And what are their devices? Matter of fact, let's look up the word devices. Machashabah. Thought, device. Remember we were reading about the heart of man and their intentions and what comes out of it. Their words are smoother than butter, but war was in their heart. So their thought, or their devices, their thought pattern, and what they want to achieve and establish is not going to work. It's not going to fail. I mean, it's not going to work. It's going to fail. Thought, device, plan, purpose, invention. And what is their purpose? Anuit Coeptes, Novus Ordo Seclorum, the new order of the ages or of the world, into where they establish themselves as the sole rulers of the planet, which they are right now pretty much, with everyone on the planet subservient to them. Watch movies like Equilibrium. Watch movies like 1984, The Handmaid's Tale. These futuristic movies where they show you a totalitarian government ruling over the people and everybody is under that form of government that are ruled by the elites, so-called elites. So going back, let's read that again. It says, who disappointeth? The Most High disappoints the devices of their crafty, their new world order agenda and what they want to do, so that their hands cannot perform their what? Their enterprise. Now let's look up the word enterprise. Because we just read that their enterprise has been crowned with achievement, right? In the back of the dollar bill. Is that not what it said? Announcing the birth, or our enterprise has been crowned with success, as this guy, Jordan Maxwell, broke it down. Novus Ordo Seclorum, which is a new order of the world. So the Lord said he disappointed their devices. Salaki, what was that word that we just looked up? Enterprise. Salaki, I forgot the word. Enterprise. Thawashayah. Wisdom. Sound knowledge. See? These are the things that they've been putting together behind the scenes. Success, right? Sound or efficient wisdom, abiding success, sound or efficient wisdom, adding success of the effect of sound wisdom. So wisdom, their knowledge, their success, what they are pushing with all the money that they have, they're pushing these agendas through. But the Most High disappoints the devices of the crafty, and so that their hands cannot perform their enterprise. The Most High is throwing monkey wrenches in your shit, man. And it says that the Most High is the one that puts these things in your dreams when you're asleep. He says he taketh the wise in their own craftiness, because this same thing that you're doing to establish the so-called New World Order is going to be the very thing that's going to destroy you and bring your whole kingdom down. How about that? And the counsel of the froward is carried headlong. The Lord said that you are wearied in the multitude of your counsels. And your counsel is going to be carried headlong. Let's look up this word headlong. Mahar, which is speed. To hasten, to be hurried, be anxious. Why? Because the Most High is going to take you down swiftly. Let's go real quick to Isaiah 47. It ain't going to take long for the Lord's going to, he going to do easy work on you, man. This is all easy work to the Lord. Let's go to Isaiah 47:13. Thou art wearied in the what? In the multitude of thy counsels. Meaning you have a multitude of counsels that you're, Rob means exalted, or many. So like, yeah, multitude, abundance, greatness. I was thinking about a rum. Rob is multitude, you know, Rabium, you know, like much. Multitude, abundance. So your many counsels that you're having on how to best establish this New World Order, you're wearied in them because you're trying to get it off, but it's like no matter how much you try, it doesn't pan out for you. You know, like you had this cartoon, Inspector Gadget, I believe it was Dr. Claw. Every time he would try to get Inspector Gadget, he would fail. And at the end, I'll get you next time, Gadget, next time. You ain't going to, Dr. Claw, Esau, you ain't going to be able to do shit. Because the Lord is going to disappoint your devices. He's going to disappoint your New World Order. All right? You could do what you want. You can murder the whole planet. And your plans are still not going to work. It said, thou art wearied in the multitude of thy counsels. Let now the astrologers, the stargazers, the monthly prognosticators stand up and save thee from these things that shall come upon thee. Let them save you from the things that are going to come upon you. And what's going to come upon you? Judgment, which is the total annihilation of America, Babylon the Great, by thermonuclear destruction and the fire from the chariots that's coming. And it's going to be swift. Let's see. Isaiah 47:9. But these two things shall come to thee in a moment, in one day, the loss of children and widowhood. They shall come upon thee in their perfection, because they're not going to. The Lord is not going to fail, man. And He's going to do a masterful work on you. for the multitude of thy sorceries and for the great abundance of thine enchantments. And if you're not blind, you know that this is dealing with Esau, the so-called white man, who is the one that's pushing these witchcraft agendas on the whole planet Earth, has the whole planet Earth under a straight up demonic vibration. It says, I'm trying to see if I could find. Right, it says, for thou hast trusted in thy wickedness, thou hast said, none seeth me. Thy wisdom and thy knowledge, it hath perverted thee. Because you have the book to do the right thing, but you don't do it. Why? Because you can't. The wicked are estranged from the womb. And thou hast said in thine heart, I am, and none else beside me. Because you think you're the Most High. Your deception was so great on the planet that you even deceived your own self. God damn. Now you know that's some shit when your deception is so sweet that you deceive your own self. Damn. Therefore shall evil come upon thee, thou shalt not know from whence it rises, because you're thinking that you have everything sewed up. You think you got everything under order, under control. And mischief shall fall upon thee, thou shalt not be able to put it off. And desolation, which is the key, desolation, because this place is going to be totally desolate, shall come upon thee suddenly, which thou shalt not know. I was about to start singing that Billy Ocean song, Suddenly, but I can't sing, so I ain't going to try. Patha'am, suddenly, surprisingly, suddenness, in other words, out of nowhere. You're not going to be expecting it. The Lord's going to hit you with this devastating blow that you ain't going to see coming. He's going to hit you with that check hook that's going to rock your socks, man. It's going to drop you to your knees, on your back, on your ass, outside the ring, under the ring, all throughout the audience, you know, hitting chairs and bleachers and everything, man. You're going to be knocked up into the rafters. God damn, Esau, you fucked up, man. You done fucked up, man. You're going to really be hurting. It says, and desolation shall come upon thee suddenly, which thou shalt not know. You're going to get rocked, man. You're going to get rocked off your axes, man. And off your asses, too. Oh, Lord. So, Job 5:13, he taketh the wise in their own craftiness, and the counsel of the froward is carried headlong. So you're doomed, man. You're finished. Right, it's beautiful scriptures. You know, so the water brothers, man. Ecclesiasticus 41:15, the brother number 1. The children of sinners are abominable children, and they that are conversant in the dwelling of the ungodly. And that's all they talk about is wickedness. The inheritance of sinners' children shall perish. Yeah, because they're not going to inherit none. Because the Lord is going to take them out. James 1 and 2 put Psalms 2, 5, and 6. Then shall he speak unto them in his wrath, beautiful, and vex them in his sore displeasure, beautiful. Yet have I set my king upon my holy hill of Zion. Yep, that's right. So going back over here at the water, man, you brothers are going in. You know what? I got to get this one, the up and coming elder, Obadiah 1 and 10. For thy violence against thy brother Jacob, shame shall cover thee, and thou shalt be cut off forever. She is the only neighbor of the Israelites that was not promised any form of mercy from the Most High. Ooh. All right, so now they meet with darkness in the daytime and grope in the noonday as in the night. So they think they're doing this clandestinely, but the Most High sees everything you're doing. The eyes of the Lord are everywhere. Not that he needs the angels, he could see himself, but this is his order, the way he likes to do things. All right, now let's go to Revelation 11:11. And after 3 days and a half, the spirit of life from the Most High entered into them. Into who? Into the Israelites, into the elect. And they stood upon their feet. Why? Because they were in a low condition and raised up to a high position spiritually. It says, and great fear fell upon them which saw them. So the ones of the elect that are going to be bringing these prophecies to pass through the spirit and power of Yahweh Bashem El Shai are the elect that are going to be seen. Not going to be hiding behind some goddamn PC, or behind the phone in some dark corner somewhere, talking about that everything that we teaching is wrong, but yet you don't have the works to show forth of it. You're not out there being seen. Bunch of clowns. It says, and they heard a great voice from heaven saying unto them, come up hither. Why? Because the chariots are going to deliver the elect. And they ascended up to heaven in a cloud, which is a chariot, a great, big, gigantic chariot, and their enemies beheld them, because all the enemies are going to see the elect going up into that chariot. The Edomites, the Moabites, the Ammonites, the Hamites, all them other different nations, and 2/3 of Israelites. And the same hour was there a great earthquake, and the 10th part of the city fell, because all of America will be destroyed. And America is broken up into 10 regions, like FEMA. That's what I should have said, regions. The name of the lesson is none of the 10 fronts will survive. Should have put regions, but the word fronts is what came to mind, so I follow the spirit. So Salaki on that. It says, and their enemies beheld them, and the same hour was there a great earthquake, and the 10th part of the city fell, and in the earthquake were slain of men 7,000, meaning a complete number of men, women, children. There's going to be a lot of deaths in this place when the missiles hit. And the remnant were affrighted and gave glory to the power of heaven, meaning the elect that are being brought up into the chariots are going to be scared when they see this devastation, but are going to be praising the Lord that the Lord delivered them, out of this hell. Because when you go back in time, the prophets, they feared when they saw the destruction. They were saying, man, I hope that I'd be protected in those days. Some of them got sick. Some of them fainted. Some of them were horrified at these visions. But see, people play around because they don't see the vision of this place being destroyed. So they continue on in their wickedness. Why? Because they've done all kind of shit and nothing has happened to them. But the Lord is just accumulating all of that to hit you at the right time. All right, so let me see. Let's go real quick to Jeremiah 51:7. Babylon has been a golden cup in the Lord's hand, and America is Babylon the Great, as we see here. Where is it? Let's bring this over here. America is Babylon the Great. All of America. And you could say that New York is like the capital of America. So going back, it says that made all the earth drunken, because who are the nations on the earth following? Who are they following? Are they following everything that the Chinese doing, or the Africans, so-called Africans are doing, or the so-called Arabs, or the so-called East Indians? No. Everybody's following behind America. Everybody's following everything that America is doing. So they're the ones that's making the earth drunken. There was another precept that came to mind. Let me read this again. Babylon had been a golden cup in the Lord's hand that made all the earth drunken. Oh, beautiful. In Revelation. Let's go to Revelation 17. Everybody's following behind America, man. Now at the very end, when they're starting to realize that they made it enough money to where they can be on their own. Now they're shunning away, but for a long time they were following behind the skirt tail of America. Now they're getting away from it. Why? Because the Most High is preparing them to destroy this place. Revelation 17:18. And the woman which thou sawest is that great city. There's not a greater city than America on the planet, which reigneth over the kings of the earth. Who's that? Maybe it's China or Russia. No, America. They rule over all the kings of the earth. They rule over the whole entire planet Earth. This is Babylon the Great, America. So it says, Babylon has been a golden cup in the Lord's hand that made all the earth drunken. You look at the styles and the way that these different nations are being run, you would think you're in America. That's why these Edomites here don't mind going to China. Not now though. Pun intended. Because when they go to these different countries, it's like being at home. They got their McDonald's, they got their Burger Kings, they got their different American corporation stores that they can go to. I'm sure you got your Targets and your Walmarts and all that in them different places. It says the nations have drunken over wine, therefore the nations are mad. Now these nations are pissed off and they're also bugged out. It says Babylon is suddenly taken and destroyed. How for her? Take balm for her pain, if so be she may be healed. She can't be healed. So no matter what you do, there's no bringing this place back. There's no bringing this place back. This place is finished. It's not going to continue on anymore. It's had its run. You have been weighed in the balance and you have been found wanting. And now it's time for your destruction. We would have healed Babylon, but she is not healed. Why is she not healed? Because this incurable wound came from the Lord. The one that set America up. Hold it now. Hold it now. Hold it now. Let's go to Daniel chapter 4, verse 17. This matter is by the decree of the watchers and the demand by the word of the holy ones, to the intent that the living may know that the Most High, Yahweh, ruleth in the kingdom of men. He's the one that's ruling in the kingdom of men. And giveth it to whomsoever he will, and setteth up over it the bases of men. And when you set up over the bases of men, you can forget about it. There's another scripture. Let me see if that's Psalms 60. No, that's not it. There was another scripture. Just bear with me 1 second. Because Esau is the basis of men. Esau is the basis of men. There's no one lower than Esau. And this is the reason why they were up in the caves of the Caucasus Mountains. And they were in a very destitute state. And that right there, my friends, is total biblical prophecy. Just bear with me, see if I can find this precept. If I can't find it, then I'll move on. But it goes good with Daniel 4 and 17. Not looking like I'm gonna find that right now. Let me just hit a few more. I thought it was in the earlier chapters, but oh, here it is. I thought so. Psalms chapter 12, verse 8. The wicked walk on every side. Listen good. The wicked walk on every side when the vilest men are exalted. So who is more violent than Esau? Nobody. Matter of fact, I'm going to pull that up because we're going to read that. We're going to read that. And then let's go from there. Let's go. All right, so now let's go back. Let's go to Psalms. No, not Psalm 60. Where is that? Or was I just reading? I was just reading something. Okay, Daniel 4:17. All right, here we go. This matter is by the decree of the watchers and the demand by the word of the holy ones, to the intent that the living may know that the Most High ruleth in the kingdom of men, and giveth it to whomsoever he will, and setteth up over it the what? The basis of men. And Esau is the basis of men. Psalms 12:8. The wicked walk on every side when the vilest men are exalted. And who are the vilest men? Esau, the Edomites. Job chapter 30, verse 6. To dwell in the cliffs of the valleys, in the caves of the earth, and in the rocks. Who's that? The Edomites, so-called white people. Among the bushes they brayed, under the nettles they were gathered together. They were children of fools, yea, children of base men. They were viler than the earth. So the scriptures say that when wicked men walk on every side, when the vilest men are exalted. And that's why you see wickedness ingrained in America. And it started with who? With the civilization that started it all. The Edomites, going back to the Greeks. First Maccabees 1:7. So Alexander reigned 12 years. Alexander the Creep, or the Great, and he then died, and his servants bare rule, every one in his place. And after his death, they all put crowns upon themselves. So did their sons after them many years, and evils were multiplied in the earth. That's why we're reading, the wicked walk on every side when the vilest men are exalted. And there's not a viler place on the earth than Babylon the Great, which is America, which will be destroyed. All right. There was another precept. They were children of fools, yea, children of base men, but they were viler than the earth. All right. Oh, that was it. Let's go here. Proverbs 29:2. When the righteous are in authority, the people rejoice, but when the wicked beareth rule, the people mourn. And you can see that the wicked are in control and in power. Verse 16. When the wicked are multiplied, transgression increaseth, but the righteous shall see their fall. So we're at the point now where we're going to see their fall. That's why the name of the lesson, none of the 10 fronts will survive. Because America will be totally demolished, totally destroyed, brought down. America the Great will fall, as depicted in this picture. You know, here you have the so-called Statue of Liberty, which is a monument to America, falling. In the movie Planet of the Apes, the very first one, you had this at the very end, destroyed. In the Forbidden Zone, which was a big desert. A song by the group called America. I've been in the desert or on a horse with no name. It's so good to be out of the rain. Talking about that nuclear destruction. You know? So they're finished on all levels and on all fronts. America's finished. You know? Only thing that's needed now is the actual judgment to hit it. And you see the judgments popping off all over the planet. Because at the end, it's speaking. And we see everything speaking right now on the planet. Let's go to Habakkuk chapter 3 real quick. Start at 1. A prayer of Habakkuk the prophet upon Shigionoth. O Lord, I have heard thy speech. What speech? The prophecies. And was afraid. Why? Because the destruction that's coming is not going to be nice, man. You could imagine the horror on them people back during the time of Lot. I mean, sorry, not Lot. Lot too, but Noah. He was prophesying, telling them, look, it's going to rain. There's going to be a flood. And people were looking at him like he was crazy. The day that they went in there and it started raining, you could imagine the fear and the horror on these people's faces. It says, O Lord, I have heard thy speech and was afraid. O Lord, revive thy work in the midst of the years. Why? Because this is like waking a sleeping giant. Wake not, my love, till he be pleased. Now the Lord is pleased to bring forth his prophecies on the planet Earth. That's why you see him coming in clusters. It's not just one thing here and one thing there. It's coming in clusters. The prophecies are coming in clusters. Revive thy works in the midst of the years. Why? Because the Most High is reviving his works in the end of the years. This is the last stretch. Your kingdom has been numbered. Seeing his days are determined, the number of his months are with thee. The number of his months are cut off. Her time shall no longer be prolonged. So on all levels, America's finished, man. They're done. They're doomed. It says, in the midst of the years, make known. In wrath, remember mercy. Because in the Lord's wrath, we pray that he remembers mercy upon us. Because the Lord is very angry. And people take him for a joke. And he's pissed off. And he's going to show his wrath upon this planet. That's why it says when the destruction comes, it's going to rock to and fro like a drunkard. Because the missiles are going to be hitting this place so hard, man, that if the Lord wouldn't hold the planet together, it would just explode like the Death Star. But it's not going to do that because the earth abideth forever. It says, the Most High came from Teman, which is Edomites, the Holy One from Mount Paran, Selah. His glory covered the heavens, and the earth was full of his praise. And his brightness was as the light. And he had horns coming out of his hand, and there was the hiding of his power. This is dealing with the chariots, dealing with the lasers coming out of the chariots. That's the power. Before him went the pestilence, and burning coals went forth at his feet. What is the pestilence and the burning coals in this scripture? The missiles and the rays from the chariots. It says he stood and measured the earth. He beheld. Why did it said he stood and measured the earth? Because it was the time. The scripture said it was the time of the world. You know? And this is the time now where the Lord is visiting this place. 2 Ezra 9:1. He answered me then and said, measure thou the time diligently in itself. And when thou seest part of the signs past, which I have told thee before, then shalt thou understand that it is the very same time wherein the highest will begin to visit the world which he made. And that's how he's visiting it. He's reviving his works. You know? It says he beheld and drove asunder the nations. And that's what didn't he say that his determination is to gather the nations that he may pour upon them his indignation, even all his fierce anger? That's what's happening right now in the Middle East. The Valley of Jehoshaphat. Armageddon. And the everlasting mountains were scattered. What is that? That's the different governments of the planet. The perpetual hills did bow. Because these different governments, big governments, small governments, have been in power for a long time. But they're going to bow. His ways are everlasting. The Most High's ways are everlasting, not man's ways on the planet. Unless the Lord sanctions it, which he's going to do for his people, beginning with his son Yahushua and his kingdom, which is the kingdom also of the Israelites. I saw the tents of Cushan in affliction. That's the Ethiopians. And the curtains of the land of Midian did tremble. Was the Lord displeased against the rivers? Was thine anger against the rivers? Why? Because the devastation is going to dry up all these rivers in America. Seas, rivers, the Great Lakes. Was thy wrath against the sea? That thou didst ride upon thine horses and thy chariots of salvation, which is what? The chariots. The so-called UFOs. It's going to be vicious, man. A time that never was since there was a nation on the planet. Thy bow was made quite naked, according to the oath of the tribes, even thy word, because it's all coming from the words of the Most High. Selah, thou didst cleave the earth with rivers. The mountains saw thee, and they trembled, meaning these different nations. The overflowing of the waters passed by. The deep uttered his voice and lifted up his hands on high. The sun and the moon stood still in their habitation. At the light of thine arrows they went, and at the shining of thy glittering spear, which is what? The arrows and the glittering spear is talking about these missiles. That's why it said he shall flee from the iron weapon. Where are they going to flee to? To these different bomb shelters. And only the elite will survive in these bomb shelters, and whoever they have in those bomb shelters where they go to. Thou didst march through the land in indignation. Thou didst thresh the heathen in anger. Woo! And the Most High got a bone to pick with these nations, beginning with Esau and even with 2/3. Thou wentest forth for the salvation of thy people, see? Even for the salvation with thine anointed, and this is coming. Thou woundest the head out of the house of the wicked. Who is the head of the wicked? Amalek, the Edomites, the top elite banking families. Thou woundest the head out of the house of the wicked. Their power structure, their goals, their aspirations, their enterprises, their new world order. By discovering the foundation unto the next Salah, because right now the skirt is pulled up on his hoe, America. And the whole world is seeing America's nakedness. And they're fleeing. Some of them are fleeing away. They're even going to their own countries. It says, thou didst strike through with his staffs the head of his villages. What are the staffs? These missiles. They came out as a whirlwind to scatter me. Their rejoicing was as to devour the poor secretly, because this new world order is something that's done secretly, clandestinely. Psalms the 64th chapter, Psalms the 10th chapter, and many others. Thou didst walk through the sea with thine horses, which are the chariots, through the heap of great waters, because there's going to be a lot of death. Remember, America is situated upon many waters, meaning that they are in control over many nations. When I heard, my belly trembled. Why? Because when he saw this devastation and he heard about the devastation, he got scared. He got nervous. My lips quivered at the voice, because it's got to be something where, you get nervous. Like if somebody slam a door or you hear a gunshot, you kind of get nervous. You might jump a little bit. But when you see some serious devastation, your whole shit just locks up. It says, rottenness entered into my bones, see? And I trembled in myself, that I might rest in the day of trouble. When he cometh up unto the people, he will invade them with his troops. Man, it's going to be something. Although the fig tree shall not blossom, neither shall fruit be in the vines. Why? Because this place, there's not going to be anything left here. The labor of the Lord said that when he comes back, he said, when you have someone that goes to, or speaking about Esau, you go to get your crops and all that, you leave some gleaning of grapes. When the Most High come through this bitch, he ain't going to leave nothing. No stone unturned, nothing left here in this country. From one end to the other, from east to west, from north to south, nothing is going to be left here. The Lord is taking everything. The labor of the olive shall fall, and the field shall yield no meat. The flock shall be cut off from the fold, and there shall be no herd in the stalls. Yet I will rejoice in the Lord. This is Habakkuk. I will joy in the power of my salvation. Why? Because the Lord will deliver his elect. The Lord power is my strength, and he will make my feet like hinds' feet, and he will make me to walk upon mine high places, to the chief singers on my string instruments. And this was a song, So the Lord will deliver his elect, his prophets. That's why it says in Revelation. Matter of fact, let's end with that. That'll be a good scripture to end with. Revelation 18 and 20. Rejoice over her, thou heaven, and ye holy apostles and prophets, for the Most High hath avenged you on her. That's right. The Most High has avenged you on her. So when we see this bitch falling, we're supposed to be rejoicing. It says, and the mighty angel took up a stone like a great millstone and cast it into the sea, saying, thus with violence shall that great city Babylon be thrown down, and shall be found no more at all. So this place is finished. And it gives you a list of things that will not be heard ever again in this place. No more musicians or pipers or trumpeters. No more working. No more millstones. No more candles shining. No more weddings. No more nothing. No more sorceries. No more nothing. It says, and in her was found the blood of prophets and of saints and of all that were slain upon the earth. Because this place rules over the whole planet Earth. America, Babylon the Great, which shall be destroyed. And it's called, the lesson is called, none of the 10 fronts will survive, because this place that's broken up into 10 regions will be totally destroyed and annihilated and never inhabited ever, 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 ever again. So with that, I pray that you brothers have been edified. Until the next time I say, Shalom.